This is episode number 153 of the Church Collective podcast. Thanks for being here. In this episode, Chris had the opportunity to talk to James Duke about the vinyl that was just put out for All the Bright Lights and just guitar stuff as usual. But we've had James on the podcast, I think 3 or 4 times at this point, and it's always a fantastic interview. I know you're going to love it. So here we go, episode number 153 of the Church Collective podcast.
All right, so you've got a new, not a new album, an old album being released newly on vinyl. What's the whole process behind that?
First off, don't call me old. And the process, basically, All the Bright Lights album, the original album came out 10 years ago. Last year, Old Bear Records contacted me and asked if they could reissue the album on vinyl. They've been going back and kind of finding some cool, kind of semi-legendary, but kind of not mainstream kind of bands, like influential maybe is the right word, records, and re-releasing them. And they actually have done some really cool bands, and back from the 60s all the way up. Anyway, they just said they loved the record and they wanted to be able to reissue it, and which worked out well for me because I'd always wanted it to be on vinyl and I just never did it. And so we just made the deal and we put it out, and it's out now, and I'm really excited. I felt like the artwork, even when it was originally came out, I felt like it was always going to be perfect for vinyl. And it's official. Hey, look, I just happen to have one. And it really is. It looks amazing. And so it turned out really great. It was amazing. It's heavyweight vinyl, and it's just, super excited to have it out finally. 10 years in the making.
Talk about your vinyl setup.
Mine's sort of simple. So I just have a Sony turntable that I plug into. I've usually got it plugged into like a sound bar or something. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, I feel like that's actually a really good way to do it because sound bars are powered. So it's just a good little humble setup, and I don't have a ton of vinyl, but I do have some cool items. I have a lot of the original pressings of like the 90s U2 records, which were really hard to find. They've since started releasing them, but before that, you couldn't find them anywhere, especially because in the 90s, vinyl had like all but gone away. There was hardly any ever made. And if there was, they were usually like imports and stuff. So I tracked a lot of those down. A few of them, like I found when I was in Brazil and different places that would still have these amazing record shops, just all the stuff you would all like never see here. And so I probably have like 100 records, so it's not a ton, but I've got some cool stuff.
Has a great collection is Dom Gerald's. Have you ever seen his collection?
I haven't. No.
It's pretty extensive. I mean, it takes up a whole room.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to call him.
It super inspired me to want to like I was telling you about finding all my dad's albums and everything. And he's got like a nice display. So like when he puts on a record, he puts the album like above it, so it's like kind of displayed. And the setup's really cool. One
thing I like about vinyl is that you have to kind of be intentional about listening to music when you do that. You go and you decide what you're listening to. You put it on. You have to turn it in 15 or 18 minutes or however long it is, and it just kind of makes you listen more and kind of be engaged with it instead of just putting it on and getting on your computer or your phone and spacing out and not even listening. So that is a cool part. I didn't know you had a cool collection. That's awesome.
Plus, listening front to back instead of just listening to a track from a playlist is so much of a different experience. When you guys did that album, did you put thought into like what song, like the order of the songs and make it sequential?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times where songs are connected and kind of go in and out of each other. And so we were pretty intentional about it for sure. Like there's a song called Chest of Drawers that we have that I wrote that I kind of wrote it to go into the next song, which is called The Door. But to me, it was like one big piece of music. But it wasn't until we started all working on it together, and me, John, and Jacob, that song, The Door, kind of took on a life of its own. And like John sings on it and stuff like that. So then it became like its own moment, but it was still, it literally like, while the other songs just at the very end, while it's still all my delay pedals are going crazy and all this noise has been going on, then that next part just comes right in through it. And so stuff like that. There's a song called Waiting on a Child that as it ends, you hear rain come in, and it becomes a song called Willow Lake. So yeah, we that's like one of the cool things that I love about that record. That there's a lot of like, it just feels like you're kind of in a moment with us because of how it just all becomes one big song, sort of.
Was Willow Lake, was that about your neighborhood or about your house?
I wrote it at my house. It was just one of those days where I just went and sat down with the guitar and started working on just playing. Actually, I wasn't even thinking about anything. And as it developed and as the began to write even more on it, and I realized like it just, to me, it just kind of feels, it gives me this feeling of like, because of the rain and stuff, it's like almost like you're sitting in your house just like looking out a window, and so it just reminded me of home, basically. And I lived on a street called Willow Lake.
Oh, that was a street.
Yeah,
I was thinking it was a neighborhood.
kind of a neighborhood too, but the street's name is Willow Lake. When you turn in, it actually says Willow Lake neighborhood, I think. But yeah, I just titled it after that because that was where I was.
Have you thought about doing a surround sound version of the album?
No, but I have been researching and reading up a lot on the new stuff that's happening with surround sound, because Amazon's doing one, and who else? There's a few different companies or whatever are coming out with their own kind of surround sound thing. So I'd actually never thought about that for those records, but I have been looking into that stuff. So maybe.
That'd be super cool. I'm surprised not many more people, especially guitar players, mess with surround sound. I know Frank Zappa did a couple concerts in surround sound.
Yeah.
Which is a cool concept.
I wonder what it sounded like. Insane with him, probably.
Yeah. I've experimented with putting like a reverb into two delays that are both stereo to make it like a 4-speaker setup.
Yeah.
Not basically front left, front right, back left, back right. And that sounds pretty good. So I'm assuming that all the bright lights stuff would sound really good swirling around you.
Yeah. The right engineer could really go to town. There's so many tracks on those songs. So like I know also the Amazon setup is like, basically you could get 4 echo units or whatever they're called, and position them in different parts of whatever room you're in, and that's how it works. That's how it works. Yeah.
Huh.
So
you have 2 albums so far, right?
Yeah, we just have 2.
Are you gonna do a third one anytime?
I think it would be fun. I've been writing for whatever kind of project it will become. Probably just a solo album, but it could easily turn into that. But I've been writing for the last probably 3 years, just working on stuff. But it's hard to get all of us to do it. Me and Jacob both live in Nashville, but my brother's in Atlanta, and everyone's so busy. So it would have to be a real intentional take a week and actually go do it. So it would be so awesome. I hope we can. Yeah.
You've been doing a lot of remote recording.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you've been doing that for? Like 2 years now, right?
Yeah. It's been about 2 years since I actually started doing it on my own.
Would you ever do like an EP, like a remote EP where each of you did it remotely?
I guess we could. Yeah. Man, you're just full of the good ideas. You should be our manager.
Well, no, because one of the questions I was going to ask you is because I haven't talked to you about your setup in a long time, and so I was wondering like how's it evolved since the last time I talked to you.
I recently upgraded my interface to a Apollo twin quad unit. Other than that, I kind of keep it simple, and so I like 57s. I use 57s. I use Logic. It's real simple. Unless it's something, a real specific lead line or something, I don't really do a whole lot of stereo guitars, just because I feel like once you start tracking stereo rhythm guitars, like there's nowhere to put all that, honestly. Most people mixing are just going to use one mic for it anyway and mix it somewhere, And so my whole thing is like, if I have a part, I've started like any sort of solos or cool lead lines. I've started double tracking it. I guess I could do stereo, but I've started double tracking it because I feel like there's a cool thing, like when you actually take the time to actually track something again, especially lead parts, I don't know, to me, it like feels a lot more vibey and kind of aggressive sounding. And so, and then if you feel bad about your playing and you actually nail it the second time, you're like, see, I'm pretty good. I just did the exact same thing. It was super solid. Like I like have to talk myself up like that all the time. I see, you're not bad. You can do it. And so, I'm about to start doing some guitar overdubs for a record, and I was just trying to figure out what my recording situation was going to be for it. But normally it's like a 57 in front of an amp, and I just go for it. I tend to send tons of tracks all the time, like when I'm recording for people. So it's not usually consistently it's like at least like 8 tracks of different stuff, And so it's like because once I get into it, I'm like, oh, what if I did this? What if I did this? So I send them like options and all this stuff. And so there's so much stuff, and some engineers I've worked with, like if I did track like a stereo line, they're just like, this is a lot. This is a lot. So I don't know, but that's how I do it. Because I've always thought like maybe a different mic, and I'm sure I could go ribbon or something. So I've actually been researching what to do, but what I might like, because I've used tons of different stuff, obviously, but for me, it's just putting a 57 in front of it. That's usually my go-to.
I figured eventually you would get into the Apollo stuff, and I've been so curious, wanting to know, like, because I love that stuff. So I'm like, which plugins are you? Have you started diving into all that?
Have to pick your brain. I'll probably have to start picking your brain about it.
What are you like? Are you using any plugins? No, you're not.
Not really.
Really?
No, I mean, not very much. I mean, I know, like, I'm always like, if I go to somebody's studio, they'll throw a bunch of stuff on it, and so I'm always thinking like, I'm gonna do my thing, and then they can always do whatever else they want to it. You know what I mean? And so, because I know as soon as I send it to them, they're gonna start EQing it how they want and cutting out all these frequencies and adding more reverb probably and all this stuff. So I typically I'm just sending them. I mean, sometimes I'm sending what exactly I would do anyway, but yeah. So I'm gonna start. I was just talking to a friend today about what should I start buying just to start doing it.
But you're using your pedal board though still, right?
Yeah.
So it does have effects printed on it, just not plugged.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's like my normal rig, so it's not like I'm recording dry or anything. Yeah. Quite the contrary, my friend.
But that's what I was curious about, because I've basically gotten to the point where I don't use pedals recording, and I'm using all plugins.
So you don't, when you record guitars, you don't use any of your pedals?
Mm-mm.
Why do you have all of them then?
It's just fun. But I was asking myself that the other day. I was like, man, should I start selling these things? Like, I'll just use, the only thing I'll use is like maybe like a preamp type or a little bit of an overdrive. Like, have you messed with Valhalla Verb?
I have, but not on my own. Like, which one is your favorite of all that stuff they do?
The vintage one.
Yeah, that one sounds awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously I'm gonna get that at some point.
Yeah, and then there's the Universal Audio's CE1 chorus replica is amazing.
Oh, cool.
So I feel like you would like that, and their Echoplex is super awesome too. So
it's kind of new. I just got upgraded on my thing, so I haven't even really dove into too much. I've actually been really busy tracking guitars on. I'm still in the middle of a couple projects that I'm still getting songs sent and stuff, but it has actually been really busy. And so my nights are usually very busy since I have a day job now. And so it's been crazy. It's been pretty crazy.
So you're tracking your amps at night? Like neighbors aren't complaining about that?
The houses aren't super up on each other. And our house is like the last in the row. And my studio's on the end of that side. And it's like an old, probably 60s style ranch. And so this probably used to be like a garage that they closed in, And so all the walls, basically like the wall attached to the house is concrete. It's not loud at all. It's like a TV's on or something. So it's really fortunate actually, because I can have 2 amps if I want going normal volume that I would normally do. And I remember to test it out, I would go and like loop something and walk out it goes right into the kitchen. And I was like, this is nothing. This is crazy. So kind of got really fortunate with that. So I can track at night and doesn't keep anybody up or wake anybody up.
Wait, you said your amps are in the kitchen?
This room is right off the kitchen.
Oh.
So there's a door that goes into the kitchen, and all the bedrooms are on the other side, and so it doesn't wake anybody up.
Are you doing more remote recording now than you're in studio recording?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't go and do that many sessions in a studio anymore. I prefer this, like if it's the right person and the things, I'll go, but I don't do that a whole lot anymore. Yeah, I don't like tracking by myself, but I've gotten a little more used to it. I don't feel like music should be just one person.
Yeah.
And like you can't bounce any ideas off anybody. You don't know if they're even going to like it. Like you can spend hours on one part because you're trying to get it just right, and then you're like, I don't even know if they're going to like this. But it's just, for me, like right now, like that's just what I'm doing.
Cody Carnes was telling me the other day about a plugin that's new that, say we both had that plugin and we both had Logic open at the same time, I could put that on my master bus and listen to you tracking in real time.
Yeah, my friend Jacob Arnold broadcasts, well, he's recording drums from home.
Yeah.
He broadcasts it to the producer.
That's pretty dope. I'm looking forward to where there's so little latency that we could be like video chatting and tracking at the same time,
That would be super helpful, Like in Nashville, most producers, though, they're working on so much stuff, it seems like, that they'll send you whatever to play on and they're not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so then you send it to them and you don't hear back from them for a week or two. And so they use who they use because they know they like what they do and they don't have to worry about it. So send it off and don't think about it. So I doubt most of them would ever even want to sit in and watch it because they're like, could be working on something else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's the worst period, is those 5-6 days, but when you don't hear anything back, you send them the Dropbox, like, cool, thanks, and then nothing.
I always send something like, you hated it, didn't you? Or just something like that after a week. you hate this and you hate me now and you're mad at me for sending you those tracks. Is that it? Yeah. I can't believe I waited so long. I just procrastinated and never actually did it. Started tracking myself because I've turned down a lot of stuff just because I was like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. But not anymore, my friend.
I like hiding little Easter eggs in there so that you know if the person listens, because if they listen to what you send them, they're gonna say something about it, something pretty outlandish. Or
I'm always worried about that though. If they're like, maybe he's serious, and they put it in the record, unless it's like super horrible, crazy sounding. You probably love sneaking some sax in, don't you? I bet that's what you do. That's your play.
But yeah, I do. I'm waiting for you to get into those plugins because I know you're gonna geek out over it but it's a huge money pit. Like, it's worse than pedals.
That's why I don't do it. I'm always like, I can do it. I'll make it. I'll just work until my guitar sounds good, straight into it, and then I'll just leave it at that.
You mentioned a new job, basically.
I have recently took a position at Centricity Music, which is a record label here in Tennessee, as a A&R. I've been doing that, and I really love it. The way it happened was kind of out of the blue, and it was the kind of thing where I was like, maybe I should see what happens with this. And so I had lots of meetings, and I realized that I loved everyone there. They were really cool and sweet and funny. And the more I got to know everybody, and they asked me if I'd come on board. So I am basically, they hired me to kind of head up and focus on like worship for them. And so that's what I'm working on, finding some new people, artists, and songs and stuff. And it's been really a different experience. Honestly, before I started, and I'd already kind of agreed to do it, I was like, what have I done? I'm not going to be any good at this. I can't believe I'm doing this. And then, like, the first day I walked in, I was, this feels right. And so I'm really excited about it. And I feel like I've always kind of wanted to do this. And I feel like this is just a perfect situation for me. And the people I'm working with are super just experienced and honestly, like, kind of legendary figures in the industry. And I'm excited to learn and grow something. So
are you getting, like, when you're walking down the street, people are giving you demos and stuff now?
No, but I mean, the cool thing, like, because I have done and worked in music for so long, I have so many friends that we're such good friends, and they're really talented producers or writers or artists or whatever. And so once I told them what I was doing, like, they've sent me lots of stuff they're working on or new people that they've found that they're producing and stuff. And I feel like this one cool thing about, like, the worship genre is it's real small circle for the most part, and everyone kind of knows each other, and everyone, like, wants to just help each other. Like, there's not like, it's not like cutthroat anyway. So everyone wants everyone to do well. And so most people that aren't insecure, so they don't mind being like, hey, you should check this guy out, this person rules, or whatever. And so yeah, it's just been cool, like, working with my friends basically, and them sending me stuff and listening through it and meet new people and kind of trying to build something. So I'm excited, and I feel like it's a nice transition for me because honestly, I've been done with touring for a couple of years, and I just wasn't super interested in being on the road. And so I've been working a lot more in town, and I really felt like should be my focus, is being in in the city where I live and working from there and working with people that I believe in and believe in me and stuff. And so this has been a cool experience.
Have you seen the Clive Davis documentary on Netflix?
Is it good?
You should definitely watch that. It's all about him, how he got the A&R job and like became the guy. And he knew nothing about music. And CBS asked him if he wanted to be their lawyer. And then he started working at CBS as a lawyer. And next thing you know, he's like in charge of the entire, music industry.
That's crazy.
It's on Netflix. I just watched it yesterday. And I was thinking of because it's same position,
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely new and for me and a very different thing, but so far I feel like it's really great. So I'm excited about it.
Have you found anything new that you're excited about?
Yep, I have. I'm not talking about it right now, but I have.
So you are the next Clive Davis, is what you're saying.
I am the next Clive Davis.
With the quarantine, has it affected you much? I mean, because you said you're not trying to tour as much, and then now you're able to remote record, and then you've got this A&R job.
Yeah.
And so has the quarantine affected you much?
Personally, work-wise, not too much, but it's definitely kind of affected our family. My kids have been out of school for over 4 weeks now, and it just announced yesterday that they are not going back to school for the rest of the year. So that in and of itself is a huge thing to deal with. Well, I won't call it a problem, but it definitely makes you have to figure out, let's say, what you're going to do as a family. And same for my wife. She's a hairstylist. She's actually also in nursing school right now. And so she's been really busy as well. And because of the shutdown, her salon has been closed. And so she hasn't been working. And I feel super fortunate, because I know there's lots of families that both parents don't have work right now and stuff. And honestly, it's like heartbreaking to me. But so she hasn't necessarily been working, but she's been able to focus more on school. But even knowing that maybe next month the salon will reopen, and then our kids won't be in school like we were expecting them to be, and so we're just it's kind of crazy, and it's like this is like totally uncharted territory, not just for people my age, like with younger families, but even like my parents. Like no one's experienced this, so everyone's sort of in it together. No one can draw on past experience really, and so it's just such a intense time, and I don't feel like anything's going to be the same after this. Just even realizing that and trying to keep your children safe and making the best decisions about actually staying home and not letting them in big public situations or anything, but then also kind of sheltering them from the actual fear of it all is such an important thing too as a parent. And so it's been, I would say, for work, I've been super fortunate, but I am still experiencing, like every person in the world at this point, basically, the effects of it, just because I have a family and kids and a wife that works also and in school and stuff. It's just a time for everyone.
I started recently asking people, have you had any kind of anxiety attacks or any days where you just feel down? And I'm surprised the more I ask people, the more other people have gone through the same thing. And
Yeah.
I'm really curious. I like hearing how different people cope with things. Like me, just spending some time outside in the sunlight helps a lot. But do you have any like things that you do intentionally to try to keep your spirit up?
Yeah, well, I would say the first thing is I felt like last week, probably towards the end of last week, was the kind of the first time where I just started feeling the effects of everything. Like getting real frustrated and stir crazy and just over it. And you know, I made it 3 weeks basically, kind of dealing with it pretty good. And if you know, if somebody has to do something or get something we need, like I'm basically always the one that leaves. So everyone else is, we haven't taken our kids anywhere, we haven't gone out, and so the important thing to remember is that this is a tragedy, you know, and people all over the world are feeling it as well. And just that is a heavy thing. It's really heavy and it affects everyone. And so just everyone feeling this, everyone feeling heavy, everyone's being scared and uncertain. And so many people don't have any idea how they're going to get any money right now and stuff like that. And it can be so discouraging and scary that it can take people out, just that, you know. And so I honestly feel like, because this is like, we're all in the world together, we're all part of something together, regardless of what we believe or what we do, about the job or the families we have or whatever, we're all in this world together. And I feel like just that can create a unity, you know. And so when something like this happens and so many people get taken out and so many people are dying and all this terror is happening, everyone is affected. That affects everybody. And especially this week, there's been so many people that have been telling me, like, I just feel heavy. Like, I feel really heavy. And I can't feel like I'm not processing my thoughts very well. I'm just sad. And I just try to encourage them. I'm like, you have to let those feelings come. You have to allow yourself to like grieve through this, because this is a tragedy, you know? And so the more you start to realize that, I feel like the more your faith will start to build, and the more you'll start actually looking out for other people instead of just yourself.
Where's the computer?
Right there.
Right where I.
Mm-hmm. That was Sailor. See, we're all at home together.
She's so much more articulate than the last time I heard her talk.
I know, she's something else. All right. And so yeah, that just allowing yourself to sort of grieve that is super important, I feel like. Oh no, well, I'll tell you what, I'll help you in just a minute. And so you have a little kid like this, that your job is to make sure that she doesn't have to worry for 1 second, you know, doesn't have to worry about dinner or anything scary or anything like that. And so allowing yourself to actually feel those emotions, I feel like, is the first part of actually getting over it and getting your heart healed and feeling good, you know. It says, blessed are those that mourn, you know. So I feel like, you know, it doesn't say like get over yourself and pull yourself up by the bootstraps. It says you're blessed and that you'll be comforted. So that's been something that I have been thinking about a lot the last couple of days. So that's very serious talk, but I think it's important to know that, you know, there's a lot of things that can be happening from the effects of all this that can make you feel super isolated, but everyone's kind of in it together. So look out for each other, do what you can for anybody, you know, keep your eye out on your friends and make sure they're okay and they have what they need. And if you can help, you know, that's the important thing right now.
Have you been doing anything with your church?
For a couple of weeks, up until about 2 weeks ago, we would still go like skeleton crew and still like broadcast like live work. We're still doing that, but like I'm not going anymore. They're just basically doing like a couple singers, an acoustic guitar, maybe a piano, like very even smaller. Easter last weekend was the first time that I'd like been home and like kind of experienced what everyone in our church is experiencing, like watching and being part of it. And it felt pretty cool and kind of intense, like when you realize like we would normally be at church right now, and we would, and like even like that has never been a question in my entire life on if I could or couldn't go to church anytime. It's intense. It's it's totally new. It's nuts.
Who's in charge there of the worship program?
Well, Chris McClarney is the worship pastor.
Okay, so he is on staff.
Yeah, he's on staff. He's kind of been there since the beginning, actually. Very early on, he came on and to be the worship pastor.
And then who's the senior pastor there?
His name's Darren Whitehead. He's great. I really like him. He's like, it was a totally different experience when we started going there. He's a really good speaker. I feel like one of the main focuses is like actually how do we as a church like affect our communities in positive ways, and how can we fix problems like foster care and making sure kids and families have enough food in their pantries and stuff, like simple things that are actually more important than anything. And so that's been a really cool kind of change of perspective for us over the last like 5 years since we've been going. It's cool. Yeah. We just got serious. We started off like laughing and didn't even know what to talk about. And now we're just like getting intense and deep. Look at us.
Well, okay,
I'm
then
proud of us.
What's so bad about the carpool lane?
Okay. Here's my thing with the carpool lane. At this school, it's not even a parking lot because it's designed for cars to come line up, so there's not parking spaces or anything. So everyone's supposed to do one line of cars, and next people make another line, another line, another line. And lately, well, not lately, like the last year, people will just pull in, like decide to be like, I don't want to be in the second line. I'm going to go in there, start off the third row, but then I'm going to stop 4 cars up, leave space for 35 cars in front of me, and just stop there. And when people start doing that, I'm just like, what is the thinking behind this? It's not for any important reason, I guarantee you. Anything you can think of to be like, maybe it's because of it. I'm like, no, it's not. They're just weird. They just stop because I think they don't want their kids to walk 15 more feet or something. And so another car will pull up behind it, and another car, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll go past 7 cars and kind of come in and cut in. Some people leave like 2 car lengths and just stop. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Because then the other line starts lining up, and then there's just all this room, and it just bothers me. So I've waged war on them via Instagram.
Are they trying to predict where their kids are coming out? Like what door they're coming out? Or
Well, see, they don't have to predict it because every kid's class line up in the same spot every day.
Oh.
So if they're actually stopping in front of their kids, like that's the stupidest thing in the world. You're not getting out any quicker. Let's go up there, make them do the walking. I mean, it's something. I can't believe it. Like boggles my mind. It like blows my mind that people do that. I'm like, why are you doing that? I feel they're lucky. Like we're not going back to school this year, because I always felt like I was about to go start knocking on windows and be like, "Excuse me, sir." I hold my phone like it's a microphone. What is your problem? Who do you think you are? What gives you the right? I don't know. Like, I guess I could have left him alone, but it's really, after a couple of months, like I was like, that's it. I've had it with these people. I started getting out of my car. So obvious what I was doing, like holding my phone, showing the rest of the line, holding my phone in front of them. They must think I'm just the sweetest person. But it's okay, because I don't think they're sweet either.
It's pretty enjoyable to watch.
I know, it's so many people are like, why are they doing that? And I'm like, I don't know why they're doing that. They're like, that would make me so mad. I'm like, right, it makes you mad. These people are weird. Probably somebody listening to this like, that doesn't sound like that big of a deal, James. Why are you getting upset about it? But I'm like, you don't understand because you haven't been in the car line. There's rules. You don't follow rules, you have anarchy. Are they anarchists? I don't know. Maybe. That's all I have to say about that.
Have you seen Tiger King?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I saw it. All right. Shows like that, I feel so gross after I watch them that I have to have like a palate cleanser show. You know, a palate cleanser show, something that makes you happy, like Friends of the Office. But it's really a unique show in the fact that every new person throughout that series gets introduced along the episodes is worse than the person before them. So people just get worse and worse and worse. They're just worse people after worse people. And after a while, you're like, good God, how did all these horrible people find each other? Like, it's freaking crazy. If that's how that funeral went down, that is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So, I don't know.
I watched a follow-up interview of, I guess it's like husband number 3 or something, the most recent one.
Yeah.
And they asked him how much is like for the camera and how much is it like real. And he said 100% all real. Nothing was exaggerated. Nothing was made up. That was just what you saw is what you get.
Well, I read this interview with the first husband, the one that did all the interviews with his shirt off that didn't have any teeth. And he claims that well into that show, he had gotten all of his teeth repaired, or not repaired, like put new teeth, but they just didn't show any of it. And it was their idea for him to sit there with his shirt off. But I feel like that doesn't hold much water because I'm like, you're still the one that decides to sit there with your shirt off. You're still the one, that's still on you. They're gonna come out with another episode though, right?
Supposedly.
The show's gross.
Anywho, you have a lot of Gretches lately.
Yeah.
Did you see the Steven Stern penguin that Tim Pierce had on his YouTube a couple days ago?
No. What did it look like?
It was, you know, Steven Stern is like their master builder or whatever.
Custom shot, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know what the exact color was, like an ocean turquoise or something like that.
Okay.
His whole episode was about that guitar. And
I love my penguin. It sounds amazing. It really does. Plays great too, but it's a really, really good sounding guitar. And I don't know why or what, but I love it. It sounds amazing.
Is that one a custom shop or is that?
No, it's one of the vintage select, maybe a 59, I believe. Is
that kind of like a reissue type?
Yeah.
Because it's got the different headstock or the different logo, right?
Right. It's got the long logo that goes down. They do those year-specific models, and so it's one of those.
I know at one point you were about to get an acoustic.
It's like the Penguin acoustic.
Yeah.
It's a little parlor-sized guitar, which is fun just to kind of have around, but also I wanted something with that real small body. They're very affordable, and for the price, they're like built really well and stuff, but I wanted something that would just sounded kind of funky and not something beautiful sounding, you know. Plays good, sounds really cool. Yeah.
Did you put a pickup in it?
It has like a Fishman pickup in it.
So you played it live?
Yes, I've played it live once.
Oh. Are you tracking acoustics too, or just electrics?
Acoustics sometimes, yeah.
You use the 57 for that too?
57, maybe like a SM7, or just kind of whatever's laying around. Whatever sounds good, basically.
And are you doing anything else like mandolin, banjo?
Nope. No, none of that. Thank God. I don't even really like tracking acoustic because I feel like I'm not a very good acoustic guitar player. Every now and then I have a good moment where I sound okay. I feel like it's like kind of a different thing. It's not like playing electric. I'm always like, I feel like there's way better acoustic people that you could get besides me. So hire somebody else. But every now and then I'll do it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's either acoustic is your thing or electric is your thing.
Right, for sure. At least in my case, I found that to be true.
Plus, my hand just hurts when I play acoustics.
Right. I feel like my fingers are paralyzed for a day or two.
Get through a song.
Well, thanks for having me on your show, Chris. You're the man.
It's your third appearance.
How many three-peats do you have in this show?
None, I don't think.
Yes. All right, buddy. Love you. You're the best.
I'll be back. I appreciate you taking some time.
My pleasure. Anytime. I'll come back for the fourth.
And
Just
I'll
really
text you.
set a record that no one can be beat. That can't be beat.
I was thinking the other day, like, man, I haven't texted James in a long time, and then I
I
got that
know.
email, and I was like, dang, now I really need.
Then I texted you.
Yeah.
You still didn't text me, and I texted you. It's not bad, huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Okay. All right. Good job.
All right. Peace.
All right. Peace.